questions. But just to give you that email address again, it's info@together2012.org.uk. And the website address is www.together2012.org.uk. On the website, you can find the Join In From Home programme. You can find the Making History Together 2020 Festival programme. And you can find much, much more, including all of the previous recordings of our Together Unlocked live stream. I'm delighted to announce that on Monday, Together Unlocked will be putting out its 100th episode, which the day before Lockdown 2 finishes is very good timing. We put out our 50th programme just before shielding ended for us on the 1st of August. And our 100th programme goes out right at the end of lockdown. So, yes, that's really exciting for us. It was hard to believe when we started at the end of March that we would have put out now 100 hours of live stream with Unlocked, and now, of course, many more hours of live entertainment as part of the festival. So, as we've just got less than 1 minute to go till 3, I'd like, Josh, if you can, just to put the spotlight onto Chris Burrow, our sign language interpreter, and onto Sahera Khan, our star for today.
They are already spotlighted. You're all good to go.
Wonderful. So, I'm just looking at the time. It's going to be 3 o'clock before this reaches your computer, even if it's not exactly 3 o'clock here. So welcome. I am Ju Gosling, also known as the artist Ju90. I'm artistic director of Together 2012, who are bringing you this event today as part of the Making History Together 2020 festival. A brief bit of audio description, and I will also describe the others on the screen in a minute. I am wearing, in honour of the occasion, a fox dressing gown. So it's a ginger orange brown dressing gown with a cream lining and cream cuffs. It has a fox hood with, slightly ridiculous depending on your perspective, ears, eyes and nose. Behind me I have a fox puppet, a paper fox, a fox that you put in the microwave to make it warm and then sit with it. I have a wooden cockerel. I'm wearing as well a cockerel brooch and a little silver fox around my neck. And I also have pale olive skin, green eyes, black plastic glasses, black wrist braces, and silver coloured jewellery. Also on the screen, we have our sign language interpreter, Chris Burrow, and of course, we have the artist, Sahera Khan. Sahera is dressed in black against a white wall. She has some of the animal representations from her film up behind her, and she's also wearing a cockerel. Well, a cockerel's comb, which I have to say also looks remarkably like a red inflated rubber glove on her head. So we've both really got into the spirit of things. So I'd like to hand over to Sahera with Chris voicing. What we're going to do is we're going to talk to Sahera about her show. Then we're going to watch the show, and then we're going to talk to Sahera some more about her career and what she's going to do next. To ask her questions, just type into the live chat on YouTube or Zoom. But first, I'm going to hand over to Sahera to just tell us more about the background to the cockerel and the fox. Oh, Chris, you've got your microphone off.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
I can hear me now, okay. I'll start from the beginning. Technical issue, sorry. Well, hello everyone. My name is Sahera Khan. And myself, I use sign language because I'm deaf. I'm British and I live in London. And today we're talking about the cockerel and the fox. I got the funding from Future for London, and I'm really thankful for them to be able to give me that to create the fox and the cockerel. And it's a story from the Arabian Nights. And it's talking about the two characters, the fox and the cockerel, and other animals that are included, as you can see. And you'll see them on the video as we progress. And I hope you're going to be very interested in the show. I'm talking about maybe a wise cockerel and a crafty fox. And they bump into each other and have a chat. And that's where the story begins. So we'll have to wait and see for the film for that one. And I hope you enjoy the video.
So the next question I wanted to ask you, Sahera, is where did the story come from? Because there's different versions, aren't there?
Different stories. Where's your story from? Yeah, the cockerel and the fox. Arabian Nights. It's a really well-known story. It's a fable. I couldn't get the finger spelling, sorry. It's gone a bit blurry, the screen. She's saying it's based around about 1800 centuries ago. And there's all sorts of different fables, whether they're Greek, Indian, Asian, and obviously they've been translated into English, to British language. But this one particular is from the Arabian Nights.
Thanks, Sahera. I think because of the limitations of Zoom and because we have a deaf audience, it might be worth signing more slowly. I know when I've been editing these shows, they don't.
It's a bit.
Yeah, Zoom is a bit basic.
Okay, no worries. Will do.
Because I was interested when I looked it up last night to see that there were so many different versions of the story. But
different versions.
And I think it's partly because there's foxes and cockerels in so many countries.
Yeah, definitely. For example, the cockerel and the fox. They've got a Greek fable, and definitely an Arabian fable that I'm aware of. But everyone knows that a fox is crafty. It's that kind of basic understanding of crafty foxes.
Yes, it's that stereotype, isn't it, of the trickster?
Yeah, it's like the fox. Definitely that, yeah.
Yeah, very slightly different, I think, in North America, where you have the wily coyote, but it's still a very dog-like creature. Yeah. I'm aware of that coyote. Yeah. Dog. It's kind of that chasing of each other as well. That kind of playfulness. That chase. I know I think, is it 1001 stories? How did you choose the fox and the cockerel?
So slightly different with a children's cartoon. Oh, sorry, Sahera's on about what is he? Wile E. Coyote.
Oh, yes.
The actual children's cartoon. She's relating your last comment to Wile E. Coyote, the children's cartoon. So yeah, that kind of with the road runner.
Yes, I remember.
I remember that, right. Sorry, Ju, what was the question?
Oh, hang on. This is where my short-term
1001.
Oh, yes, there's so many stories. How did she choose
There's
this
so
one?
many stories in 1001 story. How did you decide on the fox and the cockerel? How did you decide? I think when I was reading it, I felt that I enjoyed them, but I didn't feel they particularly suited or matched a more child-friendly audience. And I think with the cockerel and the fox, I think it was basic. It was short. It was simple. It was a nice story. And it was inclusive of animals as well. And I felt that it was a very nice, perfect story for children. Like with the metaphor, safety for children, maybe, relating that to danger and safety, keeping safe, that cockerel being safe from the crafty fox, that kind of story.
Yes, absolutely. So, one of the things you do in the film is teach some signs. Was that important to you? Because I know you've also created other films for your YouTube channel which have included teaching other people signs.
Who's teaching people signs? Yes, yes.
And did you develop the story so that you could bring in so many different animals? Because when we see the film, there's lots of animals.
Oh yes, definitely. That's definitely one of the reasons. And in the real story, there were so many animals. So I was a bit selective and made it a bit more brief in terms of which animals we used. Because I didn't want the long list of animals that they had in the original story. So I made sure there was a lot less. And animals that people know well is how I came on those ones.
I was looking at the signs and also remembering that family game where you have to do a list and then the next person, you go round and the next person adds something else and then the next person adds something else. And you have to remember them. But they could play farmyards with these signs.
It's similar with farmyard game. Yeah, that would be a nice game, definitely. Yeah.
So I know when you're making the film, you have these animation elements, and we have some of them on the wall behind you. How did you come up with the idea for making them and telling the story like this?
How did you decide the story? Before, obviously, I researched the development and looked at the setup, and I didn't film initially. I got a professional person to come in. And first, we wanted to check the video and make sure that everything looked professional and that the sign was clear. And then once we got some feedback from a creation company, we then realised the video and a play was very different. We were sat there with a camera on us. So then that's why we decided, after having a discussion, to create some sort of visual boards and visual animation and then edit that to create the overall film. And it was much better. You know, it involves so much more to the story, you know, rather than picking it up and using it as a prop, having it there all the time, it meant that my hands were free to sign as well. And it was a visual effect that was there all the time. And it helps young people to learn as well. It's very different from a play. Play and films are extremely different to each other.
So did you make all of the animation yourself? Sorry, I don't mean did you animate it yourself? I mean the chickens and so on we can see behind you.
Behind that we can see. Make it yourself. Oh yeah, I made all of those myself with a plate. You know, like a plastic type plate. And I looked on the website how to create a chicken, how to put it all together. And it did actually take me quite a long time to create it, to be honest.
Well, it's very professional, but what I like about it is it's very much in tune with our philosophy, because it's not made from expensive things. You've used paper plates, and they're the basis of just about every animation. And I think families have a lot of time at the moment, so it's a good thing to copy.
She's saying she would have liked to have bought lots of different puppets, but you know, it's very difficult with all the materials and the cost. So this way, by creating it, I kept the budget smaller, and it worked really well.
I think it's much better. I loved the visuals when I first saw the film, but like I say, it's also that sense that you can maybe not do it as well, but that everybody can have a go at doing it the same. And you don't need necessarily to get a professional camera. You know, you could use Sahera's ideas, film something on your phone. If Sahera does inspire you, then we'd love to see your films and screen them on our live stream Together Unlocked. So please do bear that in mind. So I know, Sahera, that you do lots of different things in your career. You act, you present, you're a comedian, you do children's work, and we're going to talk about that more after the film. But I didn't know that you also made things, you know, the craft. How long have you been doing that?
Maybe about 10 years ago, I probably started to really become creative. I started to develop my writing, my creative side, up until today. Acting, I started about 3 years ago. And I've been developing a lot of understanding and progressing within that. And there's so much to understand.
Yes,
but I've been creative all my life.
Yes, and we'll come back to that after the film. Did you used to make things like this for your own daughter when she was younger?
Oh, yes, of course. When she was little, definitely. You know, when she was a baby, I started to teach her to sign. And as she grew to about 1 year of age, you know, we did photo books and signs and gradually teaching. And then we'd buy things ourselves and create stuff and play with crafts. And we talk both with the books and with sign. And she'd have that real interest. And now as she's grown up, she absolutely loves drawing herself. And now she's 13, maybe not so keen or interested. You know, she's not interested in the creative side of things so much now. You know, she's changed.
I'm sure she's very proud of you.
I'm sure she's proud of you. Oh, thank you.
So we'll stick to family stuff till we've seen the film. But I know you do in more usual times. You do storytelling and other creative work with children, don't you? Can you tell us more about that?
Well, really, the play, The Cockerel and the Fox, we've not really done that so much with children yet because the coronavirus, it kind of got delayed. But I worked with deaf children in primary school, and that was related to storytelling, signing, play. But I went on to learn a course in relation to working with children and doing activities, maybe with secondary school, with children as well, creating. Like using all sorts of resources, different things like paper, and creating things. And also theatre learning for children as well. And I'd watch my daughter's shows as well on the theatre. I've not yet watched my daughter, so this will be the first time. And I hope in the future that I will be able to go into schools when we can and do more stuff with children.
Well, hopefully the end of COVID-19 is in sight. We do anticipate a difficult year next year, but it's not going to be forever. But I'm just so pleased in the meantime that thanks to, I won't say the miracles of digital technology because it all goes wrong far too often for that. But thanks to digital technology, we are at least all linked together like this. So before we screen the film, I just want to, I don't know, perhaps ask a final question of Sahera. Unless anybody, if you are sending me live chat, apologies, I cannot see it, everybody. But remember that you can use that chat facility to ask questions directly of Sahera. Would you like to set the scene for us now, Sahera? Before we actually put the film on, can you tell us where the story takes place and the kind of animals and characters we're going to meet? And I think that will help a bit for the audio description as well.
So it's based on a farm. Yeah, before we start. So of course you've got the cockerel who lives on the farm and is surrounded by lots of animals. And during the story, the cockerel meets the fox. And then you meet some different animals, some animal kings. And it's just myself, and I use roll shift to show you. And I also use puppets a little bit against the wall as well, so that you can see some of the puppets. And so it's a bit of a mix of formats for telling the story. And you'll see some of the animals on pictures in the background on the wall, and they'll pop up. Is that okay? Is that what you meant, Ju?
Yes, that is fantastic. So I think if we just wait for Josh, he's going to take everybody else off the screen. He's going to start screen sharing, and you should just see me. Depending on how you're watching, you may or may not see me in a tiny box. I'm going to voice over the signs. So whenever you're ready, Josh. The story of the cockerel and the fox. Once upon a time, Salam. The Arabian Nights tell the story of the cockerel and the fox. Cockerel. Fox. I am here at the farm. I am a special and wise cockerel. Of course, there were many animals here, but what did I look after? Hen, chick, cow, calf, sheep, lamb, cat, llama, the next day. I'm lost. I'm trying to find home. There are woods. I'm looking, but I'm hungry for food. Fox is coming. Look at Cockerel. I want to reach there. Salam. 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 I'm going to tell you a story. There were beautiful trees, rivers, and grass. There are kings and animals. King Lion, Leopard, Deer, King Eagle, Dove, all the animals would come together in peace. If any one of you fights or hurts another, then you will be out. You are free to eat, roam, and live together and be friends in peace. The message from the kings. I would come with you, but I saw something over there. Clouds and falcons. Is it a dog? I must leave now. What about the message? The dog didn't get the message. I have to go. Bye. There is home at the farm. Rushing to arrive home. This fox is cunning and clever and almost caught me. Be careful with fox. Salam. My name is Sahera Khan, Muslim, deaf, and British Sign Language user. The story of the cockerel and the fox is based on the Arabian Nights. I hope you enjoyed watching my show. This is research and development, thanks to the Foundation for Future London for funding. I feel the play is an important message about morals and metaphor. It looks at awareness around meeting strangers and making up or inventing stories. If you're interested to watch my show or storytelling, please email me for more information. scon01@live.co.uk. Bye and salam. And Josh is just bringing us back up on the screen now. So now we have the fox with us instead of the cockerel.
Wow, yeah, I've become the fox, so different character now. That cockerel was far too clever.
I mean, I think that's one of the interesting things, isn't it? You've got people trying to outwit each other. You've got the fox who wants to pretend everything is fine and there's peace everywhere so that in fact he can just eat the cockerel. And then you've got the cockerel pretending there's a dog out there that's going to eat the fox.
Most definitely.
So we're going to move on and talk about your career. I'm also going to, while you're talking, log it back into YouTube for any live chat. But if you're on Zoom, you can ask Sahera questions by typing into the live chat. You view the live chat by clicking on view on the top left hand of your screen, and then you type the message into the bottom right hand corner. So please do ask questions, and in the meantime, so will I. Sahera, you said you'd been on a sort of creative journey for about 10 years. Do you want to tell us more about that?
Well, that's quite a question. When I had my daughter, my baby, I left the job at the school where I worked and I stayed home looking after my daughter. And that was completely my decision. And hadn't worked for a while, for quite some time. But I had to kind of research what I wanted to do. And then that's when I realized that writing a good story was something that I could do, that I could start. Making up different stories. But I didn't really have the skills and the knowledge to start. So I decided to go off on a short course. My daughter was, my parents would look after my daughter. So, she was at the age where I'd be able to go off and learn on the course and be interested, and she would be cared for by my parents. And there were so many different styles of writing of stories. And I was in a mainstream class, and I was the only deaf person. I had an interpreter that would help me to communicate. And there was a person that really liked my work, but obviously my English translation was a little bit difficult at the time. I had to build up my confidence. So I did a blog. Just for a short time, I just decided to give a blog a go. And then I changed it. Changed it to what, sorry? And used the blog to then create a book. And it was the first time it was published on Amazon Kindle. And then I was taught how to do that and self-published. And altogether there was nine books. And there's still 2 books that I'm working on at the moment still. And that's kind of because I got diverted a little bit and got an interest into films. And I went to Open University to do more courses. It was a digital film course. And it was how to do the films, how to do the writing for it, just kind of all those technical skills for me to learn. It was very interesting. And it was like short films, you know, to help myself. And I had no idea that I could manage to do that, to create and to film short films and develop them myself. And during that time, I applied for BSL Sewn. Sorry, did I get it? He Stood Me Up. It was the name of the BSL Sewn program. It was just like a short film, and it created that myself, and that was there on BSL Sewn, and that was my first time of having that film on something so public as BSL Sewn. It was a wonderful opportunity. And then that gave me the opportunity to focus on acting more. I remember when I was younger, I wanted to go on an acting course, but my mother and father said that I couldn't. They said no at the time. So it was a long old journey for me. When I was older, it was something I could decide for myself. I still had that interest in acting. And so, you know, I wanted to do workshops and courses in relation to acting. And the teacher observed me and said, you should carry on. You know, you've got some wonderful skills to develop. She recognised a quality in me. So I guess that's been my journey. I know it's a complex journey going between all different things, you know, childcare, work, films. But I feel, you know, as time goes on, I will get more experience as well. And I enjoy carrying on and being busy. It's been good.
I think it's the real life journey of many artists and certainly women is juggling
Lots of
different
women.
things.
You know.
But one of the things that I think the 21st century has given us is the opportunity not to specialise. And it used to be, I mean, I was told so many times in the 80s you can either write, edit, take photographs, film, do cartoons, but you can't do more than one. And of course, now it's about doing everything, but of course, it takes longer. I'm interested, Sahera, because I know you're a very funny actor. How did you also get into comedy?
Let me think about that one. When I was in like the acting group or the workshops and the plays, I noticed that there was a lot of laughter, particularly when they observed myself. And watching TV, films, and comedy, I think, particularly being a deaf woman, our facial expressions, you know, they're quite funny in themselves, and we're very good at expressing ourselves and showing those facial expressions. And particularly with the Cockerel and the Fox, you know, creating those characters, giving those expressions. And I think that really works well with children. And I guess that's probably where my comedy derived from.
Yes, I mean, we'd met you first earlier in the summer and showed some of your work on Together Unlocked. But as we said in the interview yesterday on Unlocked, you made the Auntie film with us and you play two characters. And essentially, for anybody who hasn't seen it, very briefly, in the middle of August, with less than 24 hours' notice, we were told that Newham had the privilege of hosting the NHS COVID-19 app pilot. And in order to do that with no accessible resources, we had to make our own. And I wrote a film called WhatsApp Auntie in conjunction with Sahera, who plays Auntie and Auntie's visitor. And when I was editing it, which was a challenge for me to edit the voiceovers into a BSL film for the first time, I just laughed and laughed and laughed. I don't think it's just because you're deaf, Sahira. I think you're just very, very funny, and you have one of those very rare faces that can just convey so many different things. But I think on BSL,
it's very kind.
Thank you. Well, BSL Zone, in case anybody doesn't know, is an entire TV station in a way. You can watch it online, or you can also watch BSL films on the Together community channel. We usually screen quite a number of BSL Zone films in our film festival. And this year's the first time we won't be, because our festival is online. And usually, what we can do for BSL Zone viewers that they can't do already is show it on a really big screen. But this year, that's not going to happen. But our comedy hour traditionally is always the deaf funny sketches from BSL Zone, and everybody loves them. You don't have to be deaf. But I wanted to move on and ask, what kind of provision is there for young deaf people wanting to train in the arts, and particularly things like acting? Do you think it's got easier, or do you think there are as many barriers as there always have been?
That's such a good question. I think when I discuss, with a group of deaf people, in particular with writing films, directing, creating, I think it's so important to learn those principles on courses to become those people. The benefit of the courses, they have the criteria, the lists, many different things, different pathways. And different people's views as well. And I think the opportunities when you're young, to then be involved in those drama groups, there are availabilities for that learning, for college, for drama school, and doing drama in school. Of course, actual drama school, mainstream drama school, is very difficult, specifically if you're deaf. And it's not an easy thing to do. It's hard work being an actress. But I feel there's a lot of benefits in young people learning, and I think it's worth them learning. And myself, I've not actually been involved in drama school. I've done lots of short courses, yes, and I've gained those skills, but I've not actually been to drama school. But maybe that's something for the future. But if you're young, that opportunity there, there's so many different access ways, pathways, so much more for the future.
I think that's so important. Oh.
It's up to them. It's their choice.
Well, I wish it was. Oh.
Some people don't really want to go on courses and learn. They just want to do their acting and that's it. But I feel, I gained so much confidence and feedback from a teacher that was skilled, that was able to tell me, how I was progressing.
Yes, one of the reasons we ask is we have our own associate drama company, Act Up Newham, and that's also a training company because we still find, but particularly East London, not necessarily in
Not
other
heard
places.
of them, Jew.
So the Act Up Newham are our group who performed the last Tuesday, in fact. So have a look for yourselves on our website. Certainly the actors with learning difficulties still find it virtually impossible to get a place at college. And although that's not true elsewhere, it is, as I've discovered through a family member, still in 2020, very, very difficult if you're deaf or disabled to get onto a mainstream drama course or into drama school. But the kind of courses Sahera has done are cheaper, much more targeted, and much more professional. And I think it's really important for people to understand you don't have to fight and fight and fight in order to go £50,000 worth in debt to be an actor. As Sahera says, you can do it for yourself, but more importantly, you can find lots of short courses that you can take in your own time that are much more affordable, more easy to fund. So please, if you're finding problems locally, age 16, accessing courses, or nationally aged 18 and finding barriers accessing courses, do not give up. If you know you were born to be a comedian, an actor, a writer, a filmmaker, nobody else can stop you. And as Sahera and I think myself also shows, if you're going to do it, you're going to do it in the end anyway. So what other advice have you got, Sahera, for aspiring actors and some writers, filmmakers, particularly deaf and disabled young people?
I guess for deaf and disabled, the advice I'd give would probably be it's important to have a passion, a real passion in creative, whatever that may be, whether it's arts, poems, making films, writing short stories. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. And it doesn't have to be high skill. It has to be something that you can create, something you can do, something that you're passionate about. And have the confidence to show your work. Don't let anyone discriminate or stop you. And if you're interested in a course, and you're finding barriers, look online, look at different options, ask for help and advice. Look at the books, borrow the stuff, ask myself for advice. Just as long as you've got that passion, it doesn't matter whether you're deaf, disabled, or whatever. You can do it. It doesn't matter. You can definitely do it.
Yes, and I think one of the lovely things about running together 2012 since 2012 is seeing other people on their journeys. And the passion is what unites everybody. And I've seen people who've just faced incredible barriers where they've had to go to high court just to get into a level 1 course, but they're just doing brilliantly now. So I think that important message about, stay true to your passion. If you feel it's not going to be easy. I think that's the other thing in life, but particularly an arts career, it is always going to be a struggle. But if you have that passion, then it's quite hard to be happy doing anything else. But I wanted to come on to ask you, Sahera, I know that you're now involved in training other people as well. Recently you did a course for deaf women on blogging. Do you think it's important to be passing skills on?
Yeah, I'd completely forgotten about that until you just brought that up, Ju. Oh yes, the workshop about the blog, yes, for the deaf women. I feel it's very important, and especially well, whatever age you are, whatever kind of deafness you have, you can become a blogger. It's that encouragement. It doesn't matter what you create or what story or what level your English is. It really doesn't matter. you know you can express yourself, you share those experiences, and don't stop, just carry on. And if you've got the interest, and when the workshops are finished, I know that one person fed back to me. I can't remember exactly what she said, but she said how happy she was to actually be on a part of that course, and she learned so much, and it built her confidence unbelievably. And it was so lovely for me to have heard that from her. And that's my first time, doing a Zoom teaching workshop. So it was lovely to have that feedback.
Yes, I mean, I think it's so important, particularly as women, to be able to pass our skills on. And it's been one of the joys of Together. We believe everybody has something to teach, everybody has something to learn. So our year-round clubs program is open to any disabled person who wants to attend. It's currently available on Zoom and on our phone group in terms of poetry, but it's very much facilitated. We don't teach, we share. And I think that's really important, to be able to share our skills, and particularly with people who still don't have access to courses, whether that's deaf and disabled people in East London, carers, people at home with their families. Anything we can do to extend the opportunities that we've had, I think, is really, really important. So, what are you going to be doing? Well, I don't say immediately next, because of course nobody can really plan. But if we were looking ahead to 2022, do you have any productions or new films, ideas that you might be making in 18 months' time?
In 18 months' time. Oh, you're right. It is so difficult to plan at the moment. In 2021, I hope to be carrying on with the Cockerel and the Fox, and making that into a full kind of play. And I hope to finish the 2 books that I mentioned earlier. That would definitely be an aim. And I'd also like to do some more writing for short films, but they're still in the thought process at the moment. And also I'd like to start maybe researching more about writing books and plays. So yeah, more on the research. And I hope that there'll be lots of opportunities for activities, TV, films. I don't know what's around the corner. But I guess my aim is to carry on, basically, to be creative and to carry on, and whatever comes in that journey, whatever pops up in my mind, as long as it's creative, then that's perfect. And just carrying on with that creativity.
Well, we're going to be seeing one of your films next weekend at the film festival. So I know you went to a digital film school, but you're doing, I mean, I think at the moment, the productions you film at home, you're filming yourself. And I wondered how challenging that had been. I mean, in the course of a week, you managed to film WhatsApp Auntie and you acted both characters and you filmed yourself.
It's definitely, you know, having the sofa there, trying to read the script. It was impossible for me to try and remember all of the script, you know. So I thought I'll film one of the characters first, the auntie, and then I'd film the visitor. So I filmed the visitor through all the way through. With a HD camera to make sure that quality was clear. I had it on a tripod and it was there. And then I'd sit down, you know, make sure that the position looked okay. But doing it on my own, it was definitely challenging. I think maybe, you know, roughly 24 hours to film that first character and that first, you know, 1 day's worth of filming. Then when I was finally happy with that, I put it on the computer and have a little look at it. And then edit it to make sure that I got the best parts in it and make sure that my voice was off and then send that over. I think there was a lot of challenges actually, because especially where I was filming it myself, it was very challenging.
Yes, I mean, we were saying before this started that all of us, however technically minded we thought we were and however skilled we thought we were, March was a bit of a shock. I never expected that I would be producing, engineering, and anchoring a live stream, particularly when I've got my own communication needs and can't even make voice calls. So I think all of us, as we reach the end of 2020, can give ourselves a huge pat on the back for all of the new skills we've developed and all of the confidence that we've gained despite the kind of anxiety and nasty shocks with the technology along the way. It's 4 o'clock now. I can't believe it. The hour has just sped past. So I'd like to.
Wow, it has.
It has. Particularly with the two of us dressed up like foxes. To which I can only imagine there's been quite a lot of unintentional amusement.
Yes, very crafty.
Yes, we're very nice foxes, though, but my goodness, you need to be a little bit sharp to survive in East London. So the film of today will be up on the event page of the website by tomorrow. There will also be links to Sahera's YouTube channel where you can see a whole range of her work, including some of her sign poems and some more short videos where you can learn some simple signs. Please do let people know about the availability of the recording. If they don't know Sahera's work, I'm sure they will enjoy it. We will keep you informed and indeed have Sahera back regularly on Together Unlocked in January even, I think, because it's almost that time already.
I'd love to be part of it with you, with Together. And also it'll be open soon today, so you'll be able to catch up and watch the live events as well, which will be lovely.
So I'd just like to thank everybody for watching, to wish you a very good afternoon. If you're watching as a family, there are more family activities on our website now. If you go to together2012.org.uk, click on the festival programme, you'll find a suite of 5 downloadable sensory stories from Julia Collar called Strings and Things, and a video workshop on how to make scruffy finger puppets with just paper. And that's from Hazel Brill. So I hope you've enjoyed this afternoon as much as I have. I just need to say thank you again to Chris Burrow, our interpreter, to Global Real-Time Captioning for the captions, and to Arts Council England, National Lottery Community Fund, and National Lotteries London Emergency Fund for the funding for today. Thank you very much and good afternoon.